Hi everybody, my name is Adamiko and today I'm going to be showing you how I made this repeating dice pattern and coordinating vignette using Photoshop. Now I'm going to start off in Procreate on my iPad, which is great for sketching, and just get the drafts of each die down so that I can transfer it into Photoshop to do the final line work. And to do that, I am using Kyle T Webster's Ultimate Inkbox collection of brushes, which I highly recommend if you draw in Photoshop a lot. They have great textures, they're very customizable, and overall I think they just make for great digital art that doesn't look like digital art as much as just using the standard Photoshop brushes. So now that all the line art for each die is complete, I'm going to separate them out into their own individual layers and then color them by locking the transparency on each of them, which you can do by clicking the little grid icon that is above the layer panel. And this essentially just makes it so that only the areas that have pixels in them will be colored. So you will not get anything outside of where you already have drawn. Next, I'm going to create a new layer and fill it in with the flat background color, which in this case we're starting with gold. And then I'll create a new layer on top of that that has the red enamel material in it. And then I'm going to go back onto each of those and use the, again, Kyle T Webster, this time real watercolor brushes to add some texture so that they look maybe a little more rustic, kind of textured, and just a little more interesting than plain flat color. And I'm going to go back and do this again on all of them. And again, locking the transparency on layers is a really helpful tool because then you don't have to go back and keep erasing every time you get some paint, quote unquote, outside of the lines. Okay, so now that all of the dice are done, I'm going to create a new document that will be where the actual pattern is made. So it needs to be a square so that it can be repeated over and over again. And I'm going to start by making my background texture, again using Kyle T Webster's brushes. I believe it was mainly the watercolor brushes. And just going through and kind of creating some interesting but largely unobtrusive texture that I can put my dice over the top of. Then I'm going to offset it. And what this does is it shows me basically where the seams are going to be when this pattern is repeated, so that I can go in and cover them up so that they're not as visible. That way, when this becomes a pattern, you won't be able to tell. There won't be a cutoff for where each tile is. And now I'm just going to start arranging the dice however I think looks nice. And finally, I'm going to turn it into an actual Photoshop pattern and drop it into a larger document so that I can see how it looks repeated. And I'm not completely happy with how this is looking, so I'm going to go back and make some adjustments. Try it again. I'm going to make some more adjustments. That's kind of how making a pattern like this works. You just try it out and then go back and change it again. Okay, and finally I think I've come up with something I'm happy with. So next I'm going to go to Redbubble, which is an on-demand printing site that will print your designs on a very large variety of items. So even if you don't want to sell your pattern on Redbubble, I just like to go in and see how it will look, because they have all of these mock-ups that will automatically put your pattern on it, so you can just see how it will look on physical objects, which I think is very convenient. Now I'm going to go back and make a vignette, which in this case should be pretty easy because I'll just be rearranging the dice a little bit. And these are really useful for things like logos, for t-shirt graphics, for mugs, things that you want to be able to exist without needing to be continued all the way to the edge like a tiled pattern does.